Um, so here we are in your barrel room here at Clos Erasmus. So Daphne, give us a timeline. Give us the history of Clos Erasmus. Tell us about the history and where the vineyard is today. Kind of bringing us up to speed, I guess, in a sense.
Wow, that's 25 years in 2 minutes.
No, you can take two and a half now.
No. Well, you probably know the story. I mean,
Yeah.
we started. I met René and Alvaro, and we became friends. And René had started the whole project here. It was looking for friends to actually join forces with him to build a winery because he had vineyards, but didn't have the means to build a winery. This was the late '80s, and so we all chipped in a way and decided it would be great fun to make wine with friends, and we figured that was going to be a great party. And 5 years later we were wondering what we were thinking in a way, but no, it was great. It was a tough ride at times, but it was it's
something that kind of started out almost not quite a hobby, but almost in a sense. Like at that time, you probably you weren't imagining it would go to you would be where you are now.
No, no, definitely not. No. It's very funny because people always say, "Oh, you guys are such visionaries," and it was not like that at all. I mean, we figured we could make a very good wine. Otherwise, we would not even have started it.
Yeah.
But it's the sort of things you do also when you're young. If you think too much about things, you never do them. So that's the advantage of being in your 20s.
Yeah.
You just, oh, sure, let's go for it. That's going to be, it's going to be fun. And that's pretty much what we did. We kept going, and it worked out probably better than, I wouldn't say that we expected, because I'm not sure really what we expected. We started that, and it's just sort of developed organically in a way. So.
And then kind of everybody.
There was no grand plan.
Yeah. So
no.
And then from there, you guys kind of like, obviously everybody kind of did their own thing as well, or started doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And kind of like, obviously you here at Clos Erasmus. I have to ask this. When you got the score from Parker, what was your reaction? I mean, that had to be like crazy, right? I mean, it's like. I mean, was it one of those things? Just like it's like you're probably excited about it at the same time. You're like, great, no pressure now. I mean,
exactly.
It's
it's a sort of okay. Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And it certainly was great. But I would say that actually I was maybe more shocked by the first very good score I got, which was from the '94 vintage. Because those were still it was still the beginning, very rough ride. The wine was just pre-rut. We were starting to make noise about the pre-rut, but just about. And that one time I got 99 points, and I called René because I was working. I had to work for someone else to pay the bills, and I called René, I called the winery, and he said, what's going on? The phone has been ringing all morning. And that was just amazing, and for all of us, because that really put the spotlight on pre-rut. So the 100 points were wonderful, of course, and I'm not going to poo-poo it, certainly. So
But I imagine.
But it is a lot. It is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's like you just kind of realize, it's like if you wanted a pinch, whether or not you're dreaming, that's like that was a sharp poke. You're just like, okay, I have arrived. Can't hide anymore. It's like
That was also a little bit my feeling, sort of. Because all of a sudden there were people talking to me on the street here in Falset or in restaurants, and I wasn't quite sure what to tell them.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, what's the key to your success? And you're like,
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
first of all, I don't really think of it in terms of success. To me, it's I don't know. I'm never that happy with the wine.
Never.
So,
it's like you're always...
No, there is always something that I find missing.
Yeah.
Something that it's like, yeah, it's like sports, I guess. You know, you run a race and you say, next time I'm going to be faster. And every vintage, it's the same thing. I'm thinking of saying, next year I'm going to do better.
Yeah, well, I mean...
That's why you get back to it.
Staying on top, staying at that level is so much more difficult than getting there, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. There are so many things we cannot control, so you're always at the mercy of the weather and this and that. And yeah, why is that vintage brilliant? And yeah, I have an idea, but it's you never know 100%.
Let's also talk about it's like the production right now. Is it still around 4,000?
It's 3,000 bottles of Erasmus.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have the second wine, Laurel, which is up to close to 20,000 bottles now.
Close to 20,000.
Yeah,
and,
industrial production.
So is there expansion, or do you want to stay around that size?
The Laurel is probably going to increase a little bit more.
Yeah.
But not by much.
Yeah.
I do not want to. I don't think I want to pass the 30,000 bottles mark because then it's a very different work.
Yeah.
And everything that's involved. I mean, including the team and in the winery and everything. It becomes a different story. I mean, so far we're able to manage it just a small team, and it's still. I know exactly what is what. When it becomes too big. Maybe I'm...
You go from a winemaker to a wine company, in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like this way you keeping the production down. I mean, low.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it helps you assure, a high quality.
Well, I would hope so, but and I guess it gives me a sense of control over things.
Yeah.
I might be completely deluded, but
we all need our delusions. Trust me, we all.
But at least that's the way I feel. Yeah.
When you think about the future, what do you envision for Clos Erasmus? Kind of like from where you've come, where you are now. Obviously, there's a level of comfort that you have in what you're doing and what you're producing. Is there the idea, this might be something you're thinking about but haven't quite decided on, are you thinking about a third label? Are you thinking about
No. It's because in a way I have two wines. Erasmus comes from specific parcels usually, and that's why the volume is most likely going to remain small. I have taken some old vineyards that I am renting, so I control the viticulture entirely. So something in a couple of years, when I have vinified those wines, those grapes, maybe something is going to be. I'm going to like it enough to put it into the Erasmus, but the plan is not to increase the Erasmus. The Laurel, on the other hand, I am looking forward to it because, first of all, because people seem to be very happy with it. Okay. And I wouldn't say it is more interesting to me, but I am almost more pleased about it because it's more work, it's more volume, it's either young vineyards, a barrel or two of Erasmus that I declassify. It is more work to produce a larger quantity of something that is still very good, I think. So I find the Laurel project very exciting. I am that's not very appealing to me. Because as it might sound strange, but as small as my volume is, I am still learning every year about my parcels. and I would feel I am very absorbed here, and I think I would just be sort of dispersing myself. Besides, I'm not sure I would be very comfortable getting some place where I have not, never vinified before. I don't know the vineyards, I don't know those grapes. There is a feeling that's very important, and I'm not sure I would be very confident to say, okay, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and to me there is a depth to it. Some people do it extremely well, obviously, and it's an amazing talent. I mean, I am really admirative of that, but I don't feel up to it.
Tell us about you. I mean, I guess your journey, maybe even before you became a winemaker, and bring us to how you became a winemaker. You touched on that earlier, as far as obviously your associations and kind of in the collaborative effort. But how did you get there?
Wow, I went to law school and I just hated it. So I escaped. I left for South America and I was traveling for 3-4 years. I was just backpacking and one day when I was in France, I got offered a job by an English wine merchant. I didn't know anything about wine. But somehow, and I was not really planning to come back to Europe, actually, something clicked, I don't know. For some reason, I said, okay, he needed someone really quickly to run his office, I accepted the job. I said, okay, I'll take it for 2 or 3 months until you find someone, because I don't know anything about wine. And he left. He was the reason he needed someone was because he was getting married in New Zealand. Yeah.
That's okay, now I remember.
Yeah, he was an interesting character. He was one of the most brilliant palates I've ever seen in my life. He was incredible, and I was extremely lucky to start in the wine business with him, because that's how I got hooked up. I suppose if I had been offered a job for a large company, it would not have been that interesting, but he was dealing mostly with Burgundy wines. And so I thought, okay, I'll take a crash course, tasting course, while I'm there. And very quickly, I had to go to visit our growers and choose barrels, which was quite mind-boggling if you think of it, because I really didn't know anything about wine at that point, but he was all the way there in New Zealand, and I just loved it. I started to spend more time in wineries, and I became friends with the growers, and that's why 4 years later I had never planned to get my own vineyard. Definitely not at that point, and that's when I met René and Alvaro, and the whole thing just kept rolling.
This is kind of a friendship that just evolved into a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we became instant friends with René and Alvaro. We were actually laughing about that the other day. It was how we met at some wine fair in the States, and it's it was.
It was in the States.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
I guess I thought it was actually here. It was in Europe somewhere.
No. It was in the States.
It's just basically them. I mean, at that point, where were they? I guess you'd say in their careers. Yeah.
Well, Alvaro was, his family owns very large winery in Rioja, and René was working for the family. He was their export manager.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he was at that wine fair. And Alvaro was, like everyone in the 20s, looking for, I guess, didn't
adventure.
really, I suppose. And And that's it. That's how we got started.
Well, now were you introduced to someone, or you just kind of like just an organic conversation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we actually met at a bar.
Oh wow.
All of us. we were trying to remember. We were talking about that a few days ago. Where, yeah, we think it was at a bar in Orlando, of all places. We were all there for wine fair. Okay.
That's where you guys should have your reunion. You should go back to that same bar.
Yeah, I don't think
Probably
it still
don't want to order the wine at that bar, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it still exists.
And so, tell us also about how did you meet your husband?
Wow, because
Did you find him or he find you? No, because like.
No, I found him because I was trying to sell the wine.
This is a professional relationship. It wasn't like they weren't searching. I'm not talking about searching for singles looking for love type thing. This a business. It started.
Yeah. No. It's I was trying to sell the wine, and this was the early '90s. Spanish wines had a very bad rep still, and prior that, nobody wanted to even taste the wines. It was incredible. Everywhere we went, all of us, it was really hard. And I started, not quite looking at the yellow pages. I was in the business, and I heard of him. He had just started his company, and I gave him a call, and I explained the story, and was, okay, well, sure, send me a sample, which I did. And then I didn't hear anything for a month. I had actually completely forgotten I had sent him a sample, until one day I got a fax. This was still the days of the fax machines, and that said, I just tasted the wine and I really loved it. And as far as I remember, you don't make a whole lot of it. I probably could take the entire production. I was floored. Whoa, okay, sure, I'll sign here. And that's it. He started selling the wine. We didn't meet for another couple of years. Yeah.
So you, not face to face for a couple of years?
No, no.
Series of faxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you save those faxes?
No, because it was the thermal paper. So that's it. Yeah. I certainly didn't think of photographing them or Xeroxing them. No. And we have that running joke among us. He says he married me to secure his location, and I married him to secure my distribution. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So Daphne, what do you, besides wine? What does what do you enjoy to do?
Boy, so many things and so little time. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's sport. I have all those big plans. Then, when I have time, I'm going to learn a couple more languages, and reading. I love reading. You have a day you don't learn something is a wasted day completely. It's constantly discovering new things.
Sure.
You have to be curious about things.
And still learning about yourself. That's it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And
I'm not sure you ever know about yourself, really.
Yeah,
I think you always have a pretty distorted image of yourself.
Probably. I guess that would be fair. I don't
know. I think I do.
Yeah. So, but I guess it's those the hardest times. It's probably when you learn most about yourself. I think.
Probably. Yeah.
Stressful situations. I imagine you when you received that score we addressed earlier. How you responded to that situation, and how you were able to maintain that kind of quality throughout the years. That's kind of a learning process for yourself. A lot of people, they would have probably just rode the notoriety. It happens in some other producers. It's like they get that one score, and they just ride that score forever. They pour money into marketing and to maintain that notoriety, as opposed to actually working and maintaining the quality. It's all about the image and not the actual product anymore. And having spoken to you, you can tell that. No,
you're only as good as your next vintage or the last one.
That's it.
Yeah.
and you can't hide behind it. You can only hide behind advertising for so long.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. No, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 1 year to destroy it.
Yeah.
But I think it's true for anything.
Daphne, thank you so much for having us here today, inviting us into your beautiful home, giving us a look inside the barrel room, and an intimate look at Clos Erasmus, yourself, and how you got here and came to produce some of the most incredible wines. I'd say one of the most incredible wines in the world.
Thank you. I hope that will remain true.
No pressure, no pressure.